What are the duties of a real estate broker or real estate agent to you, their client, under California law? Under California law, a real estate broker or agent has what's called a fiduciary duty to their client. That's a very strong duty that they owe to you as the client. But what does that mean? In practical terms, what does that mean, fiduciary duty? Fiduciary is not a word that we use all the time in English. So there are 8 things that a real estate broker or agent needs to do when they are representing you in a real estate transaction. And so I'm going to go through those 8 things. It's going to take a few minutes, and we'll talk about what they need to be doing for you as part of a real estate transaction. I've got some other videos that talk about that. These 8 things that we're going to talk about, they are part of that fiduciary duty. So there are 8 elements or parts of the fiduciary duty that they owe to you. So the first one, number 1, is loyalty. So they have to be loyal to you. What does that mean? That means that at all times they will act in your best interest, okay? Not in their own interest or the interest of another person. They're going to put your interests ahead of others. It also means that they're going to avoid conflicts of interest. So I'll give you an example. This comes up a lot in court cases. If you hire a real estate agent to represent you as a seller, and they get you to sell the property for $300,000, and then they turn around a week later and they sell that same property for $350,000, a court is going to find that they have violated their fiduciary duty to you, right? Because they knew that property was worth at least $350,000 or something close to it, and they allowed you to sell it for cheaper and then turned around and immediately made a profit at your expense. Okay, so they can't do that. That's part of fiduciary duty. They have to be loyal to you, put your interests first. The second element of fiduciary duty is confidentiality. What does that mean? That means they're going to keep your secrets. They're not going to reveal information during the transaction that would put you at a disadvantage in the negotiations. Okay, so they're going to keep important information confidential. As an example, let's just say my real estate agent is representing me as a seller, and they know that I took a new job in Italy, and they know that I've got to be in Italy in 60 days, no more than 60 days. Okay, they're not going to reveal that information to a potential buyer in a transaction because that might put me at a disadvantage in the negotiations. Now, a little footnote here on confidentiality. That doesn't mean that your real estate agent or broker can lie to people about things that they know about your property. Because real estate brokers and agents have what we call a duty to disclose. So if they know, for example, that your house has termites, they have to tell potential buyers that. They can't hide that. Okay, but other than that restriction, that obligation they have to disclose, they have to keep your confidentiality. The third element of fiduciary duty for real estate brokers and agents is they have a duty to disclose to you. So they have an obligation of disclosure to you. They have to tell you about any conflicts of interest they may have. And they also have to provide you with all offers on a property. And that's either offers to sell or buy, whether oral or written. They have an obligation to do that. So I'll give you a couple examples of where this issue of disclosure comes up. A lot of people will buy property where the real estate agent or broker is representing both the buyer or seller. It's called dual agency. If a real estate agent or broker is going to do that, they have to disclose that to you. That's required. By the way, it's a horrible idea. I don't think you should ever do it, but if you are going to do it, they have to tell you that they're doing it. Another quick example is let's say that I'm a real estate agent and I'm representing you as a seller, and I've got a land developer in town that I work with all the time, and he makes you an offer on your property of $1 million, and then I bring you that offer. And I tell you, this is a good offer. I think you should take it. And then the next day, somebody that I don't know comes to me and says, "Hey, I'll offer your seller $1.2 million, so $1,200,000." And I don't take that offer to you because I want my buddy developer to get the property. I've failed there in my duty to disclose. Okay, that's a part of the fiduciary duty, is a duty to disclose. I have to tell you about that other offer. The fourth element of fiduciary duty is obedience. What that means is your real estate agent or broker has to follow reasonable instructions. Okay, you can't tell them to lie, you can't tell them to break the law, but they have to follow your other instructions, basically. So If you tell your real estate broker that you want to list your property at $1.5 million and they tell you, hey, I think it's worth $2 million, you're a fool if you list it for 1.5, and then they go and list it for $2 million, that's a breach of their fiduciary duty. They have to be obedient. They have to follow reasonable instructions. The fifth thing, the fifth element of fiduciary duty is they have to meet what we call the standard of care. Now that sounds it's a technical term, it's a legal term. What does that mean, standard of care? What that means is they have to do their job competently. Okay, so they have to do a good job. They can't overstate their experience or qualifications. So if you own a stadium, you're going to sell a sports stadium, and you're working with a real estate agent that has only ever sold single-family homes, they are probably breaching the standard of care there, right? They shouldn't be representing you in a transaction for a stadium, as a general rule. So they need to do their job competently. They need to practice in areas that they have some experience in, that they're comfortable with. And then this other part of the standard of care is really important, I think. And I'm going to read you a quote here. This comes right out of the handout from the National Association of Realtors about standard of care. So part of the standard of care is to affirmatively discover facts relating to the principal's affairs. Okay, let me put that in English for you. What that means is the real estate agent or broker has to make some sincere effort to try and find out information about your circumstances or the parcel that you're thinking about buying. And they have to give you good advice based on that knowledge that they have of the circumstances. I've got another video that talks about that, right? What kind of questions should your real estate broker be helping you answer? So that's a very strong duty they have. They can't ignore potential problems. They've got some duty to dig into your circumstances and to find out about the real estate transaction that they're representing you in, to make sure that they give you the best advice they can give you and that you make a good decision. The sixth element of fiduciary duty is they have to keep, it's accounting, so they have to keep track of the money. So if they're holding money for you or they're helping you with transactions, maybe you give some money to your real estate agent so they can hire people to do work on the property before it's sold, or take drone photos for the listing, whatever. They have to give you an accounting of those funds. You okay, Bell? You all right? Huh? The seventh element of fiduciary duty is honesty. So your real estate agent or broker has to be honest. That means they're going to disclose all important facts that they need to, and that they're going to conduct themselves in a fair and honest manner. So I'll give an example of that. Let's say you're a buyer, you're looking at a piece of property you're going to buy for your business, and you ask your real estate agent, hey, are the property corners marked? I've got a friend of mine as a surveyor, he said I should make sure the property corners are marked. And the real estate broker says, yeah, don't worry about it. I know there was a survey done 10 years ago. You don't have to worry about your corners, they're marked. Okay, what the real estate agent doesn't know if they're currently marked, right? That may be true. There may have been a survey 10 years ago, and maybe those corners were set on that survey, but that doesn't tell you if the corners are currently in, right? So real estate agents and brokers have an obligation to be honest. Okay, they can't sugarcoat stuff. They can't paper over potential issues. And then the final element of fiduciary duty, number 8, I saved this one for last because I think it's the most important, is they have to have integrity. What does that mean? That means they're going to act right. Okay, they're going to have moral conduct in all their dealings with you. One of the books I have about real estate law says that their conduct should be beyond reproach or above reproach. So they shouldn't even do anything that looks remotely questionable, right? They should be obviously clear to anybody that looks at the circumstances that the agent was looking out for your best interests as the client. So one thing I tell people all the time is I think a lot of people misunderstand how serious that fiduciary duty is that real estate agents and brokers have to their clients. It's a very, very high duty. It's a high legal duty. And it's important that real estate agents and brokers understand that, and that they act right, and that they do their job, and that they look out for the interests of their clients. I think there's a lot of real estate brokers and agents that fail to meet that duty. Now, surveyors we have some duties to our clients. So for example, we have a standard of care. I got to practice in areas that I'm competent in. I also have to be honest. But the obligation that a real estate agent or broker owes their client is much stronger from a legal perspective than the obligation that a land surveyor owns to their client under the law. That's just the reality. It's a very serious thing to represent somebody as a real estate broker or real estate agent. So if you're a real estate broker or real estate agent, you should understand what your fiduciary duties are, and you should meet them. If you're in real estate and you are going to hire a real estate broker or real estate agent, make sure you hire an agent that has a good reputation, someone that comes highly recommended, and then make sure that they're going to meet their obligations to you under the law.